Hey everybody, Robert and Michelle with More to Life Outdoors. On today's adventure, we are hiking the Toadstool Trail right off of Highway 89 near Page, Arizona. This is where we're heading. That's the actual trailhead right over there. But as you can see, very unique geological features. So come on along. Tell us about it.
So we're going to go see some toadstools. A toadstool is a spiral-like feature with a boulder perched on top, and it forms like that when the softer rock down here erodes away and leaves the harder rock on top. That's how it forms. In this area just happens to be one of those areas where wind has actually formed a bunch of toadstools, because they don't always form. But also, this talks about cryptobiotic or biological soil crust in the desert. You never want to walk on that because it's actually a
living organism.
It's a living web of organisms. There's lichen, fungi, and moss that live in this. And this is what it looks like right here. Anyways, it's only 0.18 miles out to where the toadstools are. We might wander around a little bit after that. And only an elevation gain of 100 feet, so it's a pretty easy hike. Let's get going.
You do have to register. There's a registration box right here. Just make sure you fill it out. That way they know you're in here. So it's starting to warm up quite nicely. Just 2 days ago we left Idaho, and it was I think in the mid-20s when we left in the morning. Here it's supposed to get up into the low 50s. Right now this morning it's not cold, just a little chilly, keeping the coolness off the ears. But as you can see, people talk about the desert and they say, oh, it's not that pretty. What's there to see in the desert? Well, I can tell you, the desert has its own beauty. If you look up there, there's a little toadstool right up there kind of on the peak. But there's supposed to be a lot more up in here. So we'll get up in there and we'll kind of wander around and show you what there is to look out. So far this trail, very, very easy. Like Michelle said, it's only about 100 foot gain in elevation. So this is marked as an easy trail. We did this trail to start just mainly we've got a Harvest Host location that's literally just, I don't know, 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles down the road from here. But after this, we're gonna go jet down the road a little ways and squeeze in another hike today. So this trail basically goes right up a wash. So keep in mind, if it's wet or it has been wet, this could possibly be a wet walk, but it hasn't rained in a while. We were talking to the gal at the Harvest Host. She was saying that, yeah, it's been a week or so since they've had any rain. So it should be dry on most of the trails and stuff. There might be some potholes with water, but along the edges here where it was deeper, you can still see where there's some mud. But just keep that in mind. A lot of the trails up in this area, you know, utilize washes for trails and stuff. So just keep that in mind if it's wet around. Also always be aware of the weather if you're going into any slot canyons, which that's where we're going to be heading here in a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to get stuck in a slot canyon if it starts raining, or even if it's rained like several miles away. You'll get stuck in a flash flood in a slot canyon. That would not be good. Very dangerous. So you need to make sure you always check the weather and make sure there's not any rain in the forecast for miles around before you head into a slot canyon.
So here's a little unique geological feature. You can see how the water is washed out this area. So we're about 0.4 miles in, and it looks like we're gonna leave the wash, kind of go up this right here. It's not too bad. It's not that steep. It's not slick or anything like that, so. Now we're kind of up on this little shelf.
I don't think we told you guys, this is right outside of Page, Arizona. It's what, probably about, I don't know, 25 miles or so?
Closer to 30. We're about halfway between Kanab and Page.
Yeah, like Robert said, halfway between Kanab and Page is where this trail is.
Kanab, Utah, and Page, Arizona.
Anyways, it's a beautiful place. Really cool formations. I should have been a geologist.
Hey, there's still time.
We didn't get very far because I was commenting on the layers of red sandstone and then the white sandstone, but then you also have this little layer, and that is a harder rock material right in the middle. It goes all the way around. I think it's just so cool the way that these formed a long time ago.
Yeah, Michelle was saying if there was water running, there'd be a nice little waterfall right there. Looks like we're gonna drop back down into the wash. We're getting into an area that looks like a lot more white sandstone. And then I can see up on the near the point there, almost dead center, you can see a toadstool up there. There's that toadstool. Kind of gives you a better idea of how large it is. I guess we should also mention this, I guess, would be considered, I don't know, off season, shoulder season. Today is actually December 6th, 2024. Yeah, do a nice little 360 pan here, just to give you an idea. Again, there's those deep contrast, white, red, then white again. The rocks over there actually have almost a green tinge to them. And here comes There's Michelle. Thought this was kind of unique. Don't know how well you'll be able to see it in the camera. Don't know what kind of plant this is, but if you look in the sand there, it looks like it stains the sand. Kind of turns it a yellowy orange. So we went left of that first toadstool, kind of went up the hill. Now we're up top. You can see a nice little group of toadstools right there. Very unique geology, pretty cool. Couple little alcoves up here. And again, the toadstools that we were looking at. Little alcove back there as well. Here is a close-up of one of the toadstools. Just there's Michelle, give you kind of a perspective, and then there's a larger, harder rock sitting on top. Looks interesting though, because in this reddish there's these white striations, which kind of add a lot of character, I guess, to it. Kind of cool.
This one's not as tall.
This one over here is not as tall, but very similar.
It's short like
Kind of doing some exploring now here around the Toadstools area. Standing at the base of this just adds how immense these rocks are. We're continuing to explore. Wash is down there at the bottom. We're heading this way because rumor has it there's some more toadstools over that way. So, but again, the contrast of the red and white is amazing. How defined it is. That's what I find very, very interesting, is how defined the white and the red are. There's a toadstool right there. Another one over there. Kind of sort of one there. What'd you call this one, Michelle?
I said it's a midget toadstool. It's my size.
Just to give you a perspective, my wife is a whopping 5'2". So as we made it over this way, there's several toadstools. Apparently those crows aren't very happy with us being up in here. Oh look, there's one up there as well. Down here. There's these two right here. There's the crows up there making noise. little grouping in here. Definitely very cool. It's really unique. Never heard them make that sound before. And they're puffing out their feathers in their chest. Wonder if one of those is a female and the males are trying to get lucky. I don't know if you can hear that or not, or see, but when he's making that noise, the feathers on his breast, he pushes out and puffs up. Just never seen that before. Showing you these toadstools again, just kind of a different angle. So I'm trying to give you a perspective. We're still on this rock face, just a little further west. Another toadstool up there, one over there. This is a nice little vista point. Back down in the valley. Over there in the distance is Highway 89. But a cool little vista. Again, seeing the different layers. It's really cool. And again, I'm just amazed at how defined the different layers are. Keep in mind when you're out here on the Toadstool Trail to please follow the signs, because all over the place is this, what is it, hon?
It's cryptosoil or biological soil.
It's basically a living organism. But unfortunately, you can see where some people have decided just to walk through it. But so please keep in mind, stay on the trails or the hard rock, because this the soil is very delicate, but it's very important to the desert. Well, we're back at the track after doing the Toadstools Trailhead. We did a lot of exploring up there, so our total mileage was 2.3 miles, and we spent a little over an hour getting back. By the time we got back to the truck, our total time was just an hour and 5 minutes. Again, pretty easy trail. I'd recommend good shoes for traction, because some of the rock can be slick. But we're moving on to our next adventure. As always, please like, share, and of course subscribe. Now that we're back to work, we're gonna have a lot more videos coming.
When he's talking about it slick, because that type of sandstone that you walk on back there where the toadstools are is called slick rock. And then there's sand that gets on top of that rock, which is basically hard sandstone, and it makes it very slippery. So you need to have shoes with traction. Otherwise, you're gonna be slipping and sliding everywhere.
So, catch up with you here soon.
We appreciate you coming along with us on this little adventure. And here are a few of my favorite photos from the trail today. And always remember to get outdoors and experience life. And we will see you on our next adventure.